Hello everybody, and welcome back to Certified Collectibles. This is another episode of First Appearance of the Week. This is Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022. We'll be giving you all the first appearances hidden in your comic shops today. Now this week we have another good lineup for you guys. I think we have 6 first appearances, 6 honorable mentions, so 12 titles in all to go through. Definitely some books in there you want to pick up for your collection. So let's go ahead and get started for the first appearances of the week ending August 5th, 2022. First up from DC Comics, Batman number 126. This features the first appearance of Aiden and Addison Cobblepot. Now, like we always say with the DC Comics, it really depends on what DC does with these characters. If they bring these characters across a lot of other title series or introduce them into a small screen or big screen project, it definitely makes the character a little bit more important, gives it a little bit more strength going forward. You know, these characters are being introduced into the Batman standalone title series. This is one of DC's stronger title series, along with Detective Comics, Action Comics, and Superman. So this one here may be worth picking up the spec on. You know, like I said, it really depends on what DC does with these characters as to how important they'll be in the future. But for the cover price, go ahead and grab this one here to spec on if you can. If you can't, put it on your B-list and keep an eye on it. Next up from DC Comics, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths number 3. This features the first cameo appearance of Red Canary, a character inspired by Black Canary. Like I just mentioned a moment ago, it really depends on what DC does with these characters that are introducing. If they bring them across the entire DCU, they are more important. If they keep them alive or keep them active in these particular franchises into which they're being introduced, they'll be more important. You know, this here is a Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths title series, not necessarily one of DC's strongest or more heavily collected title series, so it really depends on what they do with this Red Canary character. You know, Black Canary does have a fan base and a following and a collector base. Red Canary, it really depends. So this one here, once again, may be worth picking up the spec on for the cover price. Go ahead and grab this one here if you can. If you can't, put it on your B-list, but keep an eye on it. Next up from DC Comics, Flashpoint Beyond number 4. This features the first appearance of Dexter Dent, a vigilante intending to break his mother out of Arkham Asylum. This also features the identity reveal of Clockwork Killer. Now, the fact that this here features the first appearance of a brand new character and the identity reveal of another character, this one here is probably worth picking up for your collection at the cover price. Now, these Flashpoint title series are definitely highly collected and they're very popular with fans. So this one here, we think is probably worth picking up for your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. Next up from DC Comics, Batman White Knight presents Red Hood number 1. This features the first full appearance of Robin, a girl named Gan, working alongside Red Hood. Now, there's been a lot of Robins introduced over the years, so it really depends on what DC does with this particular iteration of Robin, this girl named Gan that they have playing Robin. If they introduce this character onto the big screen or small screen, or if this becomes the new Robin in the DCU across all the title series, this one here may be more important, but this is Batman White Knight Presents. This is a subset title series, so we really don't know how important this character is going to be going forward. Like I said, it really depends on what DC does with the character. So this one here may be worth picking up the spec on. Go ahead and grab this one here if you can. If you can't, put it on your B-list and keep an eye on it. Next up from Marvel Comics, Edge of Spider-Verse number 1. This features the first appearance of Spider-Laird, a Scottish Spider-Man. This also features the first appearance of Spider-Rex. Now this one here, definitely pick this up for your collection. You know, people love these alternate universe Spider-Man iterations, and this here features the first appearance of a Spider-Rex, a dinosaur Spider-Man. So you definitely have to add this one here to your collection. Go ahead and grab this one. And finally from Marvel Comics, Spider-Man 2099 Exodus number 5. This features the first team appearance of the X-Men 2099, new and existing members. Now once again, this one here we do think is worth picking up for your collection. Like we always say, with the Marvel titles, you know, you have Marvel Disney still churning out a ton of media, small screen, big screen, streaming series, TV shows. You know, it's definitely worth picking up any first appearance in Marvel titles, especially these fan favorite, these popular characters like Spider-Man, any of the Spider-Man titles that feature new characters. You do want to pick those up. So go ahead and grab this one here for your collection. And now for the honorable mentions. From Image Comics, Dead Lucky number 1. A veteran realizes that she has gained powers to control electrical currents, which may come in handy in the city now patrolled by peacekeeping robots and run by big tech. Now, we always say this with Image Comics, you know, they've had a lot of their titles picked up and optioned in the past for big screen and small screen projects, and that is a big driver for these indie and small press titles. This one here sounds like it lends itself very well to one of these projects, you know. This sounds like a great streaming series or feature film. This one here is definitely worth picking up the spec on in our opinion. Grab this one here if you can. If you can't, put it in your B-list, but definitely keep an eye on this one. Next up from Ablaze Comics, L's number 1. This is an all-ages series about a girl who successfully makes friends at a new school, but secretly has a colorful mix of personalities, which come out when she least expects it. Now this one here sounds like it lends itself very well to a small screen or big screen project, and Ablaze has had a lot more attention on their titles lately. The fact that this is an all-ages series leads us to believe that this has a great potential to be optioned. That's just our speculation. This one here may be worth picking up to add to your collection. Like I said, this is an all ages story. There's not a lot of all ages comics made these days, and they're always looking for new content for streaming series or TV shows or feature films. So this one here, in our opinion, is probably a good spec bet. Pick this one here up if you can. If you can't, put in your B-list, but keep an eye on it. Next up from Image Comics, Golden Rage #1. Older women deemed useless to society are abandoned on an island in their golden years where they live out their lives making friends, baking desserts, and fighting to the death. Now this one here definitely sounds interesting. Like we just mentioned a moment ago, Image Comics has had a lot of their titles optioned in the past for TV, streaming series, and feature films. I don't know how translatable this particular story is going to be to the screen. I don't know how many people want to see older women fighting to the death and baking desserts. But you never really know what's going to be optioned in Hollywood these days. So this one here is a spec bet at best if you choose to pick it up. This one here, though, is purely speculative. So pick this one here up if you can. If you can't, though, put this on your B-list. We think you probably have some time on this one. Next up from Dark Horse Comics, Frankenstein New World #1. A young girl safely tucked away inside the hollow earth where humanity survived after Ragnarok awakens the timeless oracle once known as Frankenstein to investigate the warnings and perhaps even explore the new world above. Now this one here is definitely going to be speculative if you choose to pick it up, but Dark Horse Comics has had a lot of their titles picked up and optioned in the past from small screen and big screen projects, and this story does feature Frankenstein, very popular character, very popular mythology. So this one here does have potential, but we think some of the other titles we mentioned earlier are a little stronger. So this one here, pick this one up if you can. It's definitely going to be speculative. If you can't, put it in your B-list and keep an eye on it. Next up from Dark Horse Comics, Survival Street #1. In a dystopian future, a group of edutainers become a band of mercenaries with the goal of protecting and educating kids in the crumbling corporate war zone of the new best America. Now this one here does sound like it has great potential to be picked up and optioned, and like I just mentioned a second ago, Dark Horse has had a lot of their titles picked up in the past. Now don't get me wrong, this will be speculative if you choose to pick it up, because you're definitely specking on the fact that this will be picked up and optioned for a bigger project. If this does make it to the small screen and big screen, this one here will blow up. If it doesn't though, it may go nowhere, so this is definitely speculative, but once again, we do think this here has potential. Go ahead and grab this one here if you can. If you can't, put it in your B-list, keep an eye on it. And finally from Aftershock Comics, Vineyard #1. A family-owned winery finds success in sacrificial tributes to Dionysus, the god of wine and revelry. Now this one here does sound like it could lend itself very well to a small screen or big screen project, and Aftershock has had a lot of their titles picked up in the past. This one here doesn't sound as interesting or as engaging just by the solicitation. The story itself can be much, much different. We really don't know what's going on in the story until we get the book in our hands, but judging by the solicitation alone, this one here requires a little bit more research. Once we actually get the book in our hands and read the story, see how engaging it is, we can have a better opinion on whether or not this here has great potential to be picked up an option or not. This here is very speculative. You're just specking on the fact that this does get picked up an option. If it doesn't, this probably won't go anywhere. If it does though, you're sitting on a winner for a couple bucks. Like I said, this requires a little bit more research. We do think you have a little time on this one. Put this one on your B-list for now and take a look at it later on. So there you have the 12 titles that we have for you guys this week. Definitely some books in there you do want to pick up for your collection. Please feel free to drop some comments in the comment section below. Thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, please remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for joining us here at Certified Collectibles, and we'll see you again next time.